Hello and welcome to another episode of Atomic Vinyl Reviews. And today I'm doing my trailer analysis video for Godzilla, King of the Monsters. The 2019 film has dropped its trailer. I did a reaction video, so for those of you who haven't seen that video or haven't seen this trailer, I'm gonna run through it really quickly first, and then we'll go back through it together. But first, I kind of also wanted to make this video a video in which I sort of go over some of the things I would like to see and some of the things I would not like to see in the new movie, like sort of my expectations and what I'm concerned about and what I'm excited for, basically, which is kind of going to naturally happen as we look through the trailer. So before we get into that, let's play the new trailer. So again, I've already done my reaction video. I've seen it many times now, and yeah, I'm super excited for this movie. So let's just enjoy the trailer in all its glory. Oh wait, we should probably go to the beginning. There we go.
Our world is changing. The mass extinction we feared has already begun, and we are the cause. We are the infection. But like all living organisms, the Earth unleashed a fever to fight this infection. Its original and rightful rulers, the Titans. For thousands of years, these creatures have remained in hiding around the world. And unless all the Titans are found, our planet will perish, and so will we. They are the only guarantee that life will carry on.
You are out of your goddamn mind!
I am sorry, but this is the only way.
You're a monster. I'm sorry.
Long live the king.
So there we go. There's the trailer in full. Let's just pause on a nice image while I talk for a bit. Mothra's face. What else we got here?
I am sorry. Our planet.
Yeah, let's go to Ghidorah. Okay, so before we get into like the trailer analysis, like obviously we have our three new kaiju confirmed, which is really good. I mean, you can see King Ghidorah in front of you, silhouette at least. And that's one thing you'll kind of notice in this trailer is that all the monsters are in, or you only see their silhouette, except for Godzilla, which you do see in full because, you know, we already didn't see enough of him in the other film. I'm not really gonna get too much into my thoughts on the 2014 Godzilla, but I think they'll become rather like I'll just sum it up as after I really loved the intro. There was some stuff that was just I really love that intro, and I really love Bryan Cranston's character in that one. And I thought the Mutos were pretty cool, and uh, I like Godzilla's design, but not as a Godzilla design, and obviously after Bryan Cranston's character died, I really did not care for most of the film, like anything apart from the actual monster fighting. I did not like basically in 2014 Godzilla, and I really, I'm gonna go into this when I do a review of that film, but I have a lot of complicated feelings for that film, so just it's basically the main thing you need to know. So they did change Godzilla's design a little bit in this film, so I guess we'll go to that first.
And rightful rulers.
Where was it?
The Titans. These world. And our plea. They are that light.
There we go. So you can see here, if you saw that, well, obviously you did, everyone did that, that photo that they dropped with Godzilla shooting his beam into the sky. Back then you could, if you looked closely at the design, you could see, obviously, his dorsal spines, they have changed, which I'm really happy they did this, and it's really cool. There's a really cool homage here to the 54 Godzilla, because if you look at that, the biggest spine there, this one coming up here, that exact shape is the 54, the biggest spine on the 1954 design has that exact shape almost. I'll just see if I can... there'll probably be a better shot of it later. Yeah, it's kind of hidden, but... But that's a good little image to pause on. So, obviously his spines, they've gone for a more classic Godzilla spine design, and this one looks like a pretty good mix between, like, say, the 1954 design and the 2014 one for the spines, which I'm really happy about. By the looks of it, they haven't changed his face, which I'm a little upset with, because I would have liked to have seen them change his face a bit. You can't really see his eyes too much in this trailer, but I hope they made them a little bigger. I didn't like how they were really tiny in the 2014 film. Like, I like how they look on the NECA figure, where they are a lot bigger, but in the film they seemed, the first one, they seemed really small. And like, I know a lot of people are probably going to comment about Shin Godzilla there, but that worked for that design. That design was like Godzilla enough that they could do creepy things like that for aesthetics. But here, here I'd like the eyes to be a little bigger. I think that'd suit the overall design more. I mean, I do really like the look of the face, but I don't know why. Whenever I look at it, it's so not even close to what Godzilla is for me that it's like, okay, it's a cool face, but it's not really Godzilla to me. Which I've got over that, I guess. It was like definitely like having some, like, the big NECA figure made me really appreciate the design a lot, but I don't know, it's not Godzilla to me, but it's a cool monster that's close enough to Godzilla where hopefully when they introduce some more personality to him in this movie, that's something I'm really hoping they do, that they add more personality to the character in this film. I also hope that he doesn't seem as sluggish as the first film. Like, I know they're trying to make it, like, all gritty and realistic and, like, all that jazz, but it makes Godzilla look kind of pathetic. In that film where he kept falling over, and that was one of the things I found really funny. Like, they in Shin Godzilla, like, all the buildings fell on him, and he got right back up. Whereas, like, the one building fell on this Godzilla in the other film, and he, like, had, like, a complete breakdown from it. Then he just fell asleep at the end. So hopefully they rectify that a little bit in this film, which I think they will, judging by the tone of the film. Overall, we can see him shoot off his breath here, just while we're talking about Godzilla, before I get into some other stuff. So maybe if we take it, like, what's cool here, you can see that the is like in between all his scales here, you can see all the atomic blue energy there, which is cool. I'm also really happy that he has a blue beam, which I've always liked, because I've not been too partial to when Godzilla has like a red beam, like in Godzilla 2000 and stuff like that. I mean, I love Godzilla 2000, but I don't know, I really like the blue, because it's like, when you make it a red beam, it like, it's sort of reminiscent of like what's like the stereotypical gods, like the people who don't know anything about Godzilla. They think he's green and breathes fire, which is not even remotely close. But that's why I like the blue, because it's distances from the sort of public perception of him. If we go back a little bit, so I think they didn't really make his eyes much bigger. Maybe a tiny bit, because they're probably like half that size in the first film, if I remember correctly. But another thing about this design, which I always bring up when I bring up this design, is I don't like how they kind of made Godzilla look reptilian. Like, to me, Godzilla isn't a reptilian creature. He's not lizard-like. And they made him like this sort of dinosaur lizard thing, where it's not like, it's sort of like, again, it's like that sort of American public perception of Godzilla by people who don't know what he is. They think he's a giant green lizard that breathes fire, whereas he is, like, if you look at Godzilla, the skin texture is not based on scales. It's based on, like, I don't mean the actual Godzilla. It's based on keloid scarring, which is the scars that burn victims from radiation victims get on their skin. That's the texture that Godzilla's skin is based on, not scales. Also, if you look at the classic Godzilla, his face is actually more mammalian, or especially in the Heisei series, he looked almost cat-like, with like the cat-like nose and like the sort of cheeks and the big eyes and everything. So I never thought of Godzilla really being reptile-ish. Like, he does have sort of, you know, the body structure of like a he has the body structure of like in a outdated iguanodon or T-Rex sort of basic body structure of like what they thought dinosaurs looked like in the 30s or something. And you know, and just the like sort of really spiky stegosaurus type spines down his back. So he's a real mishmash of stuff. But when I think of Godzilla, I don't think of big reptile, and that's I think that's a very American thing, or at least like a Western thing, where people who don't really know much about Godzilla, they have that perception. So that's why I was a little upset when they went with that design for the 2014 film. Like, again, I love giant reptilian monsters. I love reptiles, and all the scaly designs are awesome. But I just don't connect with it as being Godzilla just yet. So maybe if they give him the right personality. Plus I'm not a fan of the roar either. I know, like, everyone loves the roar, and I'm just bashing on this design in the beginning of my trailer analysis. So I'm sorry, but I don't know. Like, Godzilla has a very distinctive roar that, like, and like, they even kind of slipped it into the 98 film, but with this one, it's just like this sort of, just this sound, and I don't know, like, like that moment that are just dragging on. That doesn't even sound like, it doesn't sound like the Godzilla roar, it doesn't sound like a roar, it just sounds like a note being played that just won't end. So I've probably lost about half my subscribers there, but life goes on. Um, anyway, so that's those are just my thoughts about Godzilla and what I'm hoping they do with him. Like, what I'm happy about that they did, but I wish they did a little more. I hope they improved the feet on this design too, because we didn't get to see them at all in this trailer. But maybe they did, because even though I do like the design as a design, that part of it I never really liked. Um, it just, yeah, it's not good. But but let's get into more of the trailer. So, like, my overall, like, I'm just gonna, while I talk, I'll just let this play in the background. Um, this trailer, one thing about this whole film, like, I have pretty much the utmost praise for this trailer. Like, I'm super excited. Like, we're seeing actual Toho kaiju hopefully being faithfully reproduced on screen. Like, we don't really see all that enough of the monsters, but we're seeing like a proper monster brawl of our actual favorite kaiju here. So super excited for that, and it looks like since there were those issues with the first film, they're going to address those hopefully, and we're going to see more of the monsters, and hopefully the human plot will be more interesting. We kind of don't see enough to ease my worries about both, because again, there's been nothing but praise for this trailer online so far, which I definitely support, because I'm super excited for this. This is looking marvelous. But I do have complaints and I do have concerns, and I'm going to be just real with you guys. So if at any point in the video it sounds like I'm being a bit overly judgy, like I was about just the Godzilla design in general, it's because at heart I have nothing but actual excitement for this. But in my heart has excitement, but my mind has concerns, and that's what an analysis is for. We're here to analyze everything. So one of the first things is everything is kind of covered in smoke and very obscured. In the monster scenes, like, look, here's snow, it's night, like, it feels like there's a vignette on everything, and it's very dark, and, like, this scene right here, I'm gonna go back, because this is gonna kind of show my point. Like, this looks like, I don't know, like 2012 kind of destruction, just like the big apocalyptic stuff with twisters and stuff, and I don't know, like, I'm not really sure if I want the background to exactly be like this, because I think it might kind of draw away focus from the monsters. And like, I know, like, in the 2014 film, they did a lot of that smoke when they were fighting, but that really, I wasn't too big a fan of that, because I don't like it when the kaiju are obscured too much. Granted, I do like sort of an apocalyptic feel. Like, I really like Godzilla Final Wars and that sort of apocalyptic feel, and this looks like they're drawing from that. But in that film, there was, a whole alien invasion that also caused a lot of that, and it was just a very dramatic thing there. But another thing is, so I really hope, because, like, they might just show particular shots for the trailer where they're obscured, but part of me is just the amount of varying shots. This looks like it's, like, I'm gonna go through this bit by bit later, but so this is like around the same area, I believe, because you got the same sky and the same twisters here. It's really cool to see Rodan here. I mean, like, again, you can't really see him. Like, you can, but, like, you can't. And that's this interesting thing with this trailer, like, that he shows so much, but you almost feel like you haven't really seen anything, in a way. And I guess that's part of its charm, which is why everyone's coming back to see more. But, like here's King Ghidorah again. Let's go back. You can't. I've tried to find a way of getting like a good. I wanted to use this image, one of like this silhouette, as a thumbnail image for my last video on this, but I couldn't pause it at a spot that necessarily was clear enough that if you were to look at it from a distance, you would tell that there's a King Ghidorah there. But it's very, very smoky. It's just completely silhouette, and again, when he's in the ice somewhere back here, I mean, this is just all obscured. There's no sky, and yeah, see, there's just the smoke flying around everywhere. And this is probably besides Godzilla, this is the clearest image we have of a kaiju, and I still can't really work out what I'm looking at. Like, I know this is the Mothra in larval form, but like I have no idea what her mouth looks like. Like, is this her mouth? Does her like, does she have like a Pac-Man mouth or something, or is this just a crease on her face and she has that like weird beak over here? But no idea. Even though she's taking up almost a third of the screen here. But so that's one thing I'm concerned about. It's also very color graded. Very like CGI heavy color graded, like that shot where Rodan was flying over the weird twister storm. Like you can see all these shots, none of them have natural colors. They look very very movie-ish, and you know, I mean, it works sometimes, but if like the film is trying to be very stylized, which I kind of think this is, but seeing as how the last film, I don't know, maybe it's trying to just rectify that kind of the last film was very gray, but like, for example, Kong Skull Island, we got to see that film wasn't like too color graded. Like it had its parts where it definitely was, like it was a lot, but some other parts of it were very like just on the island in broad daylight. You could see everything going on, especially that like end fight, and that looked really good with like Kong in broad daylight fighting the Skull Crawler Queen, or whatever that one was called. That looked very good, and I'm hoping we get to see something like that here, but in a city, because I just really miss that aesthetic of, you know, broad daylight Godzilla just trudging through like the classic Godzilla trudging through a model city. We kind of got that in Shin Godzilla, but again, more like I would have liked to have seen even more in there, and considering the the list of monsters we got, and then I think that it would be cool to see that a little more here, because like if you look at this building in this background, it does not look real. I know it's going for a very stylized look, but I would prefer at least some of it to have like some colors, because like some of these scenes are like almost all of them are this sort of amber color or blue, like full blue. Like, see this bit, full blue, this is full blue in the ice. We got that amber color, amber, red, but I guess amber, reddish, amber, amber. Okay, this scene, you have some color, but it doesn't look natural. Like, there's something about this green that looks a little off. This looks a little, I don't know. It doesn't look naturalistic. It looks like you're seeing it through a filter. Fully blue. We got the amberish color again. Some amber colors. More amber, amber. This one, that shot had some nice color in it where, I mean, it still didn't look completely like, it still had some filter on it. Again, this scene is fully blue. Why? I don't know. I really don't know. It's a thing they're doing in Hollywood now. Like, for example, watch Jurassic Park. that's before they did color grading in movies. That's why the dinosaurs in that, even though it was very early CGI, looked so real and so good, because everything around them looked real and good, and it like wasn't desaturated. It had just the perfect natural amount of saturation and natural color and lighting. But films these days, they like to color everything, and it's not really like Pacific Rim, where that one was like, it's a very Del Toro thing to just add color to the worlds, which I was really like, but you need a director who's really good with that to make it work. And again, like, when you have a scene that's fully blue, for example, which there's a lot of these, like they're either fully amber or fully blue, it wears on your eyes a little bit. And so that's just a little complaint that I have. And some other stuff. So let's talk about so that's just I've talked about Godzilla. I've talked about just the look of the film. I guess I could talk about this CGI. I am obviously kind of sad that they opted for fully CGI monsters and stuff like that. I mean, they did motion capture for King Ghidorah, which is pretty cool. That apparently each head has a different personality. That I've heard in an interview, which I like that idea. But the monsters, I've kind of gotten over the CGI thing. Like, for me, it will never beat. It will never beat practical effects. Like even the worst of the Showa era, I still like seeing that. Okay, maybe not the worst of the Showa era, but you know, like just the sort of standard Showa era, the like not the best effects, not like out of, you know, the City Destruction out of Rodan, or the original Godzilla, or Destroy All Monsters, or any of that stuff, but maybe like just watching Megalon break a dam or something like that, or anything like that. Even that stuff, I just so much fun to watch. Just the like, oh, this sort of CGI has been really overdone in films, and like, it's like there's no real reason why they couldn't have made this movie in like practical effects. Like they could have, like if this was made in the 80s or the 90s, they would have done it in practical effects. Like if they did this as a Hollywood film, then it would have been amazing. But because, you know, you can make practical effect monsters look really good, even if they're like the giant tokusatsu scale ones. And it hasn't really been done to the best of like, I don't feel it's been like done justice in Western movies, if to this point. Like, it's been tried, but I've kind of gotten over that. Like, it's like the movie industry, like, I know if they really wanted to, they could do better, but they're just broken. It's like the movie industry has a disability now where they can't use practical effects. I guess they did in the latest Star Wars ones, particularly The Force Awakens, and they tried, and actually in Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, they did do a little bit of that, and it looked amazing. I don't know why they don't do it. Like this shot, if they had like they could have like had like the puppet for some scenes of Godzilla. So like this scene, then they could have, you know, done the blue light, like had some lights in his back, and then like added some more effects in CGI later, and like had like a smoky room to act as water or something, or even filmed it underwater if they're crazy enough to. And you could have gotten some really cool scenes, some really cool close-ups. And I swear, if you did make a good suit, it will look far more real than the best CGI Even if you can't tell, like even just looking at CGI, if you can't tell that it's not real, but if you even if you can't tell like what about it doesn't make it real, even if you're not like sure if it's CGI or not, just seeing a movie where there's the practical effects, like you just, whether you know it or not, there's a difference, and as a viewer, you kind of internally notice it. Um, I could have really explained that better, I guess, but not the point of this video. We're kind of just trying to rush through this sort of stuff because I can ramble on a lot. So we haven't really got to my analysis yet. I'm still talking about just my thoughts about the film, raising a few concerns because, again, these are sort of like, my gut feeling is I'm really looking forward to it, but I think everyone is. But I think there's stuff that comes with like this type of movie, especially watching Pacific Rim Uprising. I'm really worried about some things, like just on the inside. I'm just kind of like, please don't do a Pacific Rim Uprising type movie where, I don't know, that one wasn't too good. It was enjoyable, but like it didn't really have the heart that the first film did, and that made me worry. But then you get something like Rampage, where you can really see, they had a lot of fun with that, and like because there wasn't all that pressure to make like, I feel like because nobody was asking for a Rampage movie, so they could just have fun with it, and they did, and it was much better than it had any right to be. Whereas you have another film like Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim, where he was super passionate about making this movie, and it came across in the film, in the style of it. It was awesome, and even though I'm not fully happy with everything in that film, I have a great love for that film and appreciation that has sort of grown over time. With this film, um, this is sort of promising things in this trailer that I'm just like, just kind of, it might just be because of like, again, Pacific Rim Uprising and the first film, what's it called? 2014 Godzilla, where like the trailer promised something really good, and for the first like 20 minutes, half hour of the film, it was really good. And then and then it went to shit. And again with Pacific Rim Uprising, it was like, okay, this kind of, it's funny, it's cool, it's fun, but it kind of doesn't have it, like it just doesn't have it. And a kaiju movie is actually, it's the kind of movie that you go all out and have fun with it, like Destroy All Monsters, or the 74 Mecha Godzilla film, or something like that, or Godzilla Final Wars, or just pretty much any of the best kind of goofy films, or you actually have, so that would be like basically the equivalent of the first Pacific Rim, where that's like just an all-out fun movie, and this is what this one's kind of looking like. But they're also like, with the story, it looks like they're trying to kind of mix it with the other kind of kaiju movie, the 1961 Mothra, or 54 Godzilla, or those sort of films where you have a filmmaker who is like Ishiro Honda, who actually, saw the ruins of Hiroshima, was a war prisoner, is a pacifist, and like lives the messages that they have in their movie, and have this background, and made by people who suffered through this war, and wanted to tell this through a story, and did it as best as they could, and to make like a serious monster movie. And you can do that, but when you kind of start to mix both, you get into this area where you get especially when you don't have the most competent filmmakers, and like sort of Hollywood studio interference, you get something that you can be a little nervous about. So so I'm a little worried about that. That's probably sums up my main worries. Also, I have two more worries. Pardon. Should have brought a glass of water because I'm talking a lot. This video is probably gonna take up all the room on my laptop or something. It's a long video. But another thing I'm worried about is actually so with the monster designs, how we can't really see them. I'm not too worried about Rodan. I think we see the most of Rodan, and we see sort of Godzilla the most. Then we see Mothra Lava's face somewhat well, and then we see probably the most of Rodan, and like we see a good silhouette of Ghidorah's. We see a good couple of silhouettes of Ghidorah, but Rodan, I'm actually really happy with what we see of his design so far. I'm kind of worried, like with these designs, like you see him there, he looks really good. I like the way he's flying. Uh, I like his silhouette, looks awesome. It really reminds me of the original Rodan. And I think it's... Oh, so there's a claw of Rodan. We see a couple of shots of his claws, and they look really good. They... I can't pause it on the right frame. But somewhere I've seen people screenshot... So you can see he's very spiky here. He's obviously scaly. He's got these big talons like the three claws here, I believe. And this dew claw, or like a thumb type claw here. Lots of spiky, scaly skin. So I like that. I like that, and I wonder if they'll have the spikes on his belly. That's one of the things I really love about Rodan's design. But you see a silhouette of, you know, him flying a couple of times, his shadow on the ground. I like the tail. Again, very reminiscent of the original Rodan, because I love the original Rodan design. The only one that I like almost as much, but actually kind of nowhere near, but just it's the second favorite Rodan design, would be the Final Wars one. But that original one was amazing. And look at this freeze frame. I think this... Could this be his beak? I'll like pause it and see for a second, but I seen some... I saw like a screenshot of a part in the trailer where we see Rodan, but he's blurry, and it looks like he has like that nice sort of stubby beak. So as opposed to having like a pterodon head, or pterodactyl, where they have the really long pointy beak, and the like one spike on the back of their head, it looks like they were faithful and gave him like a short triangular sort of shaped face with like the two spikes going behind his head. So that's really good. And I don't know, looking at this still, I'm pretty sure this is his mouth here. So you can see it's actually got like some spiky teeth. So this is looking actually really cool. So I'm really excited to see Rodan. The only thing that I could ruin on his design is if they gave him like really, if they messed up the eyes. Kind of hoping, like, I know it's typical to make like monsters, like giant monsters in Hollywood films, giving them tiny little eyes to make them look like scary and realistic and all sorts of stuff. But I like monsters with, aside from Shin Godzilla, where they were purposely like done to be really tiny just to make him look ominous. But I like kaiju with like the big eyes. But yeah, I think that was his mouth. So look, he's got these huge talons here. They look very powerful. And obviously, as we looked earlier, like it's kind of obvious that he came out of a volcano. Because, like, I mean, he's literally got lava all over his back and across his wings as he's flying here. So that must hurt. But it's really cool. It's a cool effect. Like, so this could be like our Fire Rodan. Like, a lot of people are like saying that this reminds them of the Heisei Rodan. I actually think, and I'm really hoping that they go for more of the original Rodan. Because I don't like the Heisei Rodan. That's my least favorite Rodan. Even like the weird ones from the mid-Showa era, I kind of prefer to Fire Rodan. I don't know why. He just kind of... The 90s one was a little generic looking. I did like him, his character-wise in that film, though, but where he, like, protects his relationship with Junior and stuff was really cool, and how he sacrificed himself at the end. So that's my thoughts on Rodan. He's the kaiju I'm actually the least concerned about and the most I guess the most excited about to see the design. Plus, he's one of those kaiju that, though he's very famous, he's not like King Ghidorah and Mothra, where he's overused, I think, in films. Um, but as you can see, so King Ghidorah, this is my other concern. Another concern is, see, he's got these nice claws here. He doesn't, obviously, he has more, his wings are more like arms, because he's holding them in front of himself here, as opposed to being the big fan-shaped things on either side of his back. And after seeing something like that last Hobbit series and stuff like that with Smaug, and I'm pretty sure I haven't watched Game of Thrones, but I've seen like their dragons and the Harry Potter dragons and just pretty much any other generic dragons in Hollywood movies. They always have like and lots of fan art of this King Ghidorah before we got to see the design had him with the wings as like using them to like walk on them and stuff like that, or using them as arms, and like I'm not really a fan of that. To me, part of King Ghidorah is that, yeah, he's like a dragon, but he's also not. Like his wings were never like flappy wings; they're more of like these big fan-shaped appendages, like these decorative fan-shaped things that kind of like, while he sort of like used his magic powers or like his just kaiju abilities to sort of levitate and sort of kind of flap them, but I don't know. Like his wings aren't like dragony sort of claw type wings to me, and to have them be like these two sort of things that grab onto stuff, and at worst that he walks on them, worst case scenario. So I'm hopeful they don't go down that route. But you can see he's got so you know, he's got the bat-like wings here. So he's got like 1, 2, 3 at minimum sort of joints down his arm, so pretty typical for these sort of bat-like wings. And so you can kind of tell that the shape of these are more generic shaped wings, which just like sort of the fact that they were going to use the typical sort of CGI effects and the sort of overdone color grading. It was kind of a thing that like we went into this just kind of knowing they were going to do for no other reason than they just do that nowadays. It's kind of sad in a way. Because like there's no reason that they couldn't put out a movie where they do stuff differently. I think it would just be a bit better if they did. But other than that, like you can see he's got like his snouts look pretty short and wide. They actually don't look too dissimilar from Godzilla's face shape. Like you see, there's got this little round snout here, and then it gets really wide, just kind of like this Godzilla design's head from top view. And except for he's got these like pointy, obviously his pointy things and typical King Ghidorah neck. And we don't see his legs. I don't know what this is. It's like a flying ship or something here. But find that freeze frame of King Ghidorah where he's frozen. Mothra. So my point, like, I don't mind if they like change up the characters, but I don't want them to, like, this looks promising. Like this looks like a King Ghidorah shaped head. Like I can't tell if they got the raised nose on him or not, but hopefully they do. The spines here on the back look really cool. I kind of wish he had the crescent moon on top of his head though. I really like the crescent moon horn on King Ghidorah. I wonder if this is like his, like if this is just like just a shadow, or if this is actually like sort of his fangs coming out the front, because it's always good when King Ghidorah has those nice big fangs. So looking at this image, we can kind of see there's one. This is probably another head, I think. 2, 3. Kind of trying to work out what shape he's in here, because like this is the end of his tail, so that's cool. We've got that classic sort of, it looks like the Heisei era sort of tip here, which is really nice. So the tail goes somewhere this way. This looks like a spike, so he probably has those spikes down his back, which would be cool. There's one head kind of looks like it's turning this way. So this looks like this could be either the tip of his wing, or it could be like looks like a footprint almost of like 3 claws, but it's hard to tell. And so it kind of looks like the body, the bottom of the neck starts around here, then like one goes this way, one goes this way, and the other just goes this way from the center point. But it's really hard to kind of tell from this shot. So obviously he's somewhere in the ice. Like, we don't really know his origins. I know from the first film that at least in that film they're trying to make all the origins like realistic and not to have aliens involved, but that was like Gareth Edwards' plan, and thank God they got rid of him. I'm sorry, I really didn't like his influence on the first film, because I watched Monsters, and the bland characters are just one of his trademarks, pretty much. Like, it improved with Rogue One, but you know, that's because they had Disney looming over his shoulder. But so I'm sorry for you Gareth Edward fans out there. I'm sorry, Gareth Edward, if you're watching this video and you hear that. You some of the stuff, the CGI stuff you did was very impressive, in the cinematography and all that, but characters need to be interesting. They need to progress the plot. They need to not progress the plot, but they need to, their emotions need to drive the plot, their actions and their emotions. But anyway, so King Ghidorah, like, I think there's a scene, like a shot of a face somewhere throughout this trailer that could or could not be King Ghidorah. So, it's after Mothra. There's Godzilla shooting Mothra, Summer, Rodan. Actually, just before we finish talking about King Ghidorah, this here, this here is probably another Rodan. Like, it might not be. It might be Mothra, or it might be a jet. But, you know, since they do seem to have Rodan, literally he's sitting on a volcano, and in the first film, Rodan came out of a volcano. This design is very close to the original Rodan, and there were 2 of them. That's like one of the sort of iconic things about Rodan, is that there were 2 Rodans, or Radon. And, you know, it's really hard to, just because you'll get such a short clip of it, you can't really see the way it moves all that well. It's almost just kind of floating there, but it very much could be another Rodan. And the director has been quoted as saying that there are more than the 4 kaiju, more than 4 kaiju in this film. So if we have 2 Rodans, there'll be 5, including, you know, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. So, you know, you see that lovely tail shape, very typical, very similar to the original Rodan, where he had sort of a similar shape but more rounded like this. But I like this shape too. Cool tail. So pretty excited to see Rodan, and again you get that really cool you get that cool shot of like he flies over and then just the buildings get destroyed by the wind, which is so typical Showa Rodan. And okay, so I'm pretty much done talking about Rodan now. Sorry about that backtracking, but so here we go, lightning. Now, apparently King Ghidorah and like all the monsters are gonna have very similar roars. At least King Ghidorah is to like the original roar, which I'm really happy about because I love King Ghidorah's sound effects. Very unique, and it really just adds to his presence, I feel. So it looks like we're gonna have King Ghidorah with his typical electric sort of gravity beams, also yellow. So hopefully that is King Ghidorah there, or it could be a Mothra. Mothra is known to shoot lightning. I mean, go back a sec, because there's more lightning. So we're gonna go, like, we're just looking at the monster stuff now. We're gonna look at, like, the plot details later on. But right there, you can see those lightning shot. And there's all this yellow flashing, that might be her hiding from King Ghidorah, but the lightning could also just be because there's a bloody storm going on overhead. Hold on. You see, with those lightning, there's some yellow lightning going on here for a second, but I don't think that that's King Ghidorah unless he carries this like dark luminous smoke overhead. It also the smoke might be here because this might be something to do with Rodan and like the volcano erupting. He might have caused an eruption, but you see, there's lightning here, but it doesn't look directed from any monster or anything. So you can also see there's like gunshots coming down this way from whatever, either going this from here that way or from here this way. If we play it, we might see. Oh yeah, so they're shooting at Rodan. Stranger Things girl, her. Oh, there we go. There's the face, which people are speculating is King Ghidorah. There we go. So you can see a face here. There could be another King Ghidorah head there. It's hard to tell. There's like one frame of it that's just perfect that I can't get. So yeah, you see like this little eye, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is King Ghidorah. It kind of has like a Smaug appearance, and like in better light that might be a gold color, might not. This might be Rodan too, which would be cool, I guess. Or Godzilla with like a red eye. I don't know, it's still hard to really say by this face, but at least it's got like an expressive eye, which is cool. Then you got Jets fighting Rodan again. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say about King Ghidorah. I hope, like, I would like, we don't know about his origin yet, and they were talking about, how in the first film that they were trying to make it really grounded in reality and all that stuff. But I really hope there is, like, an alien origin to King Ghidorah, because, King Ghidorah has always had really good origin stories, like, okay, like, I know him in the Showa series, like, being the destroyer of Mars and just a dragon flying through space. Just doesn't sound like a super in-depth, you know, thing, but it's, like, I like how it was kept vague and how he just is this space dragon that just flies around destroying planets. Just because that's what he wants to do, like, we don't really know much more about him at all. Just he arrives at planets, destroys them, moves to another planet. I don't know why. I just really like that origin for King Ghidorah, and I also really like the '90s origin one because that like really tied him into the Godzilla's origin and all that sort of stuff, and that was really cool as well with like the time travel. And that was just a great movie as well. But I hope they don't just make him be just another. I don't want them to give him the same origin as they gave Godzilla in this universe, where he's just one of those other giant monsters that happened to exist back when the Earth had more radiation or something. I wanted him to just be one of those things that like is like an alien that was frozen in the ice for millennia or something like that, if that's why they find him in the ice. But or unless they come up with an even cooler analogy. Oh, here we go. Here's the shot of Rodan. You can see his face really clearly. So he's got the short little... He has a face that looks almost like a sort of like an eagle-like beak here. But we saw that he had teeth earlier. And we can't really tell if he has the spikes here. But it's just a really cool shot. He's got like the 3 claws you can tell on his wings here. He was looking very bird-like in this shot, and he's kind of got this arched back, if you see, in some of the, like, this hump just around the shoulders, which is sort of reminiscent of, you know, the earlier Rodans. So, flaps down, these pretty typical kaiju wings. And again, he's still got that burning going down there. I can't wait to see that design revealed even further. And there's our Godzilla. He looks pretty much the same as he did in the first film from the front. His arms might even look a little bigger. He's still got that like bear-like pose. I don't know, still doesn't... I mean, it looks cool, but it just... Does that look like Godzilla, though? Just ask yourself. I don't know. So, lots of jets flying around him there, which is cool. Yeah, they seem to just be flying over him, but that's a cool look. But, so we've talked about every monster besides Mothra. So Mothra, they start showing somewhere around here. So this is a cool scene, so we're gonna look into the sound later, but just after this bit. Yeah, we get it, legendary. Actually, I'm kind of, you know how I was talking about, like, having my problems with, like, Pacific Rim 2 and the first, 2014 Godzilla? The reason I've got that sort of concern is because those are both from this company, and, they're kind of like, aside from Pacific Rim, that are kind of, they're kind of like some of the movies that they tend to put out in this sort of, with like this sort of vibe, like that it's kind of serious, but it's also kind of stupid, kind of silly-ish. It's, they often have trouble landing the hammer on the nail, if you know what I mean, like without the guidance of some really competent filmmaker like Guillermo del Toro. So I'm not, like, I don't feel safe in the hands of Legendary, but I'm really happy that they're doing this anyway. Like, we'll talk about the music in the trailer as well. I don't think it fits, but what I heard a rumor that they will be using the actual Godzilla theme in this film, so I'm really happy about that, because, I wasn't too happy with the music from the last film and how they didn't include the theme in there, because the theme is like so much of what makes Godzilla, his presence, Godzilla, and that's just another thing which, like, they changed the design so much that like it's a lot closer than the 98 Godzilla, but like the way in which they changed it was still just a little not true to the character, I guess. But let's talk about this. So this might be like Atlantis or something. It looks like they got an underwater city, a sort of like stone city, something like Atlantis by the looks of it. Big chasms and monumental structures, and you have like these hieroglyphics which are hard to decode, but they do look like hieroglyphics, so you can see like human figures, and up here you can see what is clearly the silhouette of Godzilla. Again, he's got the really stupid looking stubby feet here, but that is clearly Godzilla. You can see spines and like head shape here. So there's some sort of mythology with Godzilla in it, under the sea. Some maybe this could relate to how like Gamera was made by the Atlanteans in the 90s, Gamera trilogy. Similar to that sort of reveal. I mean, not that they made him or anything, but just that they knew of him, I guess. And this is also similar because we got those teaser images of the carving on the wall of the Mothra. So we have some, we also got the cave paintings in the last film, so at the end of Kong Skull Island, so there's lots of like cool mythology stuff going on with monsters, and even the intro to the 2014 film had that sort of stuff, so that's cool. I do hope they dive into that, which they would look like they will be. So yeah, very cool shot of King Ghidorah as we discussed earlier. And I'm guessing they're looking up at King Ghidorah, just the way the shots are cut together, and like this looks like a cold place full of blue and stuff like that. I think this is San Francisco. That building looks like it's in San Francisco. I'm not sure. Could be Seattle? Probably San Francisco. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with American cities. I mean, I guess I am, but not super much. This looks similar again to that Muto thing that they had. So I'm guessing this is related to Mothra. But it looks a little small, because you got these people here, and this doesn't look all that big, because, like, I don't know, this also looks kind of weird, like this weird translucent thing with veins in it. Then you get, I guess Mothra's not too huge, seeing that shot. We get a cool look at the texture of Mothra's face here, not too dissimilar from what we got in the other films, and you can pretty much tell Mothra's probably going to be the friendly monster again, seeing as how, we got Millie something, Bobby Brown, whatever her name is, the Stranger Things girl, L11, reaching out to Mothra, the Mothra lava. And I'm just gonna wait till we actually see more Mothra. One thing that I'm actually really hoping we do see, and so there's like a reveal, so we do get our full Mothra. Well, I don't know where she is. She looks like she's under a giant waterfall, which is an odd place, or a big smoke falling screen. But okay, so you can kind of see like a face there. Like it could look similar to the real Mothra. Like I think this is like her little snout, and these are her eyes. Like, it looks like her body is a lot smaller and her wings are really huge. But I mean, look, this you can barely see anything here, to be honest, but I'm just kind of inferring based on the lines I'm seeing. She has those round spots on her wings. They kind of look like eyes. You can't really see any other colors on her, to be honest, which is a shame. Whoops. I hate it when that happens. So, so she looks a lot more like a normal butterfly wings. So obviously she's probably just come out of the cocoon here. At the moment, her wings look green. I really hope, like, you can't really tell what's on her wings apart from this like eye shape here. But I hope we do get that classic Mothra pattern, because I know they love redesigning stuff in Hollywood, but the Mothra, the colors on her wings are really iconic and just something I love to see, so hopefully. And another thing I'm hoping that they do with Mothra is, like, I hope they give her telepathic powers, because they're probably not gonna have the twin fairies in the film, but I'm hoping that they, if they give her like telepathic powers, maybe she can commune with people in some strange way by giving them visions of the twin fairies in their minds or something. Because one thing I really like about Mothra is her mythos. She's like, she's like goddess. She's like a god, and she has this connection with humans, and in that way, and this connection between like Earth, with the Earth and humanity. So she's kind of like a mediator between the two, or like a spirit of the Earth. And um, if she did have those sort of powers, then that would like be a real way to sort of make people believe that like ancient people that like made those carvings believe that she's a god and stuff like that, more so than just being a huge moth, you know, which is enough, but it would keep in tune with like the mythos of what really makes Mothra and just that iconography. Because even though I do think Mothra's overused, I really like her appearance in every film and the way she is used, and like the to see the twin fairies and stuff. So the only time Mothra showed up, which I wasn't really happy about, was in GMK. Even though I love GMK, I didn't like King Ghidorah and Mothra in that film. Both the designs and their personalities were really off, and I really wish they had Varan and Anguirus take their place in that film, because that would have made that film perfect in my eyes. But it's enough about that. So this is my sort of what I want to see about Mothra. So I probably spent like an hour or two talking about what I like, my sort of concerns and wishes for this film. Uh, all in all, what I really wish for is I wish for an entertaining film where our monsters are done faithfully, and we get to see a lot of them. And I want both the characters and the monsters to be entertaining. And it's like, it doesn't have to be the deepest film, but that would be a bonus. But it's just, I just want a good movie, really. Is the main thing. Good movie, and to keep it faithful to our characters. To get the characters right. My characters, I mean the monsters, because at the moment we don't really know much about the people. But I'm gonna go through the trailer now, and we're gonna try and just go through it, nitpick every scene, and try and figure out what's happening. So, kind of the overall plot people have guessed in this is that, like, because of a speech that comes up in the film, let's just, actually, we'll watch the trailer again through it fully, and then I'll talk about it.
The mass extinction we feared has already begun.
So that's that lady that later in the trailer, it looks like I think it might be her mother, actually, in this. She says, "You're a monster" to her. So she's talking about there being like, let's actually see exactly what she's saying.
We feared
The mass extinction we feared
has already begun.
has already begun.
We are the cause.
And we are the cause. So I think people are assuming that she's like the one who released the monsters and to like get rid of people because they're like the infection on the planet or something like that. And it's basically just one of those type stories. I'm not so sure. I think that might be like, this might be taking like it might be a trick of the trailer, I guess, because it still seems a little vague.
We are the infection.
But it might be like, you know, like one of those climate changey type things, but because, you know, they showed a lot of those twisters and the storms and stuff in there, which they love to shove into like environmental messages into kaiju films. But it might be a better message than just nature has a balance, let them fight, you know. But who knows. We don't really know when this scene is taking place.
The mass extinction we feared.
This might be just before the whole Rodan thing takes place, or it might be later on. It's hard to tell because all these sort of sky cloud scenes look pretty much the same.
The cause.
But there is that yellow lightning, so it's probably could be related to Rodan. This, you know what, this might just be that volcano erupting. Because I don't think this is like one monster creating all of this, or all the monsters. So she goes in the building here, and that's probably when that like teaser of like her calling Monarch happens. If you guys saw that like teaser trailer that came out like a week before this, which is just literally her on like a little vintage like SOS machine contacting Monarch, telegram machine. I don't know, whatever they're called. We don't use them no more, so how would I know what they're called?
But like all living
Morse code
organisms,
thing.
the Earth unleashed a fever to fight this infection.
So she's talking about the monsters, we assume, to a bunch of military people on a screen. She's on a screen, so she's filming it from somewhere, or this could have been like, she could either be in a different location, or she's in like someplace hidden off doing something evil, or just she could be in danger or whatever.
Infection.
These people look sad, but they don't look angry at her. And the music that's playing, like, they don't look like, it's hard to tell what's going on. This guy, he was in Peter Jackson's King Kong. Although it'd be funny if he had a mustache in this, if you guys have seen Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Its original and rightful rulers.
Okay, so original and rightful rulers, and then they're showing this hieroglyphic picture words of Godzilla, and like it looks like humanity bowing down to him or something, and like these giant murals with like these little submarines here. So we see that so it's implying that it's the Godzilla is the Earth's rightful ruler, so the monsters are. But we see Ken Watanabe return as Sarah Zhao. Still funny it's called that. So the way these shots are put together, it looks like he's the one in the submarine looking at this stuff. I'm glad he's back, because aside from what's his name? Bryan Cranston. Sorry, it's getting really late. I'm kind of tired. Aside from Bryan Cranston's character in the first one, he was the only other interesting character. And there's another character from that film that I'm hoping that does return, which I'm really interesting to see what she will do. But one thing I'm actually really glad about in this trailer, it makes me so happy, is there's no sign of the Brody family. Cardboard soldier dude, no sign of him in this trailer. Makes me so happy. I hate him. Anyway, continuing on.
Rulers, the Titans.
So they, this guy in an interview, apparently he's playing like a general. God damn it! Show the clip. There we go. So this guy apparently is some sort of a general. He's got his name tag there, so he's named Barnes, apparently. I'm gonna call him Barney. This guy here with the nose, his name, I forgot what his name is. He's apparently a mediator between Monarch and the, like, government or the army or something. So, you know, again, they're in, like, an army boardroom. Get it? Because it's the boring part of the movie when they're in the boardroom. Haha. I'm kidding. I actually loved every moment of Shin Godzilla, even the boardroom bits. But,
For thousands.
So here, you know, I think they, like, they don't really explain what this area is where they're seeing Godzilla from. It could be the same submarine that saw that, like, city. So maybe, like, Godzilla lives in Atlantis when he's on holiday, and they found him there. Yeah, it probably is like a submarine or something, where they're looking at him underwater, and he's glowing, so, I don't know, maybe he's gonna kill them, maybe he's just glowing for fun. We don't really see a payoff to this scene. Actually, he seems to be like, so there's that guy from Monarch again. Like, we don't know if his, like, glowing is fluctuating or if he's just, like, turning off his beam there. Because it sort of darkens at the end of this little scene.
aimed in hiding around the world.
But then it lights up again on his face. Ah, there she is. So she didn't do much apart from all the talking for Dr. Serizawa in... She basically just explained exposition in 2014, but she is a great actress. She is, if you haven't seen the other recent Guillermo del Toro thing, Shape of Water, go see it. It is probably one of my favorite films of in the last year. One of my favorite ones. So she did an amazing job in that one, and I really hope they give her something to work with in this film, because she can do really good if you give her that chance. So army dudes, they're probably on like this like submarine or whatever they're on. It looks a bit too big to be a submarine, so I don't really know. Maybe they just have like a glass wall in the ocean with a building in it, or some weird monarch facility. Hard to say, because submarines are in reality are very tight places. But we don't see much of her in the trailer, so it doesn't imply that she'll be doing much apart from continuing to exist in this universe. But I think she's going to be in the third of these films as well, so she's a recurring character. She pairs up with Serizawa, I guess. Don't quote me on that, because I'm just kind of vaguely remembering. So I think they were looking at Godzilla, but now they're...
And unless all the Titans
There's
are
the...
found,
But these guys here, because, you know, they're wearing fluffy jackets and the light's not fluctuating, it looks sort of colder. Here, just by the color, I'm assuming these guys are almost definitely looking at King Ghidorah, like the reveal of him in the ice. So she's probably going to be a main character. I think she's her mum, and apparently they're very close and they have like a strong bond. So it's like, I've heard in the interview that it's like a good film for like mothers and daughters to see together, to just see their bond or something. So that's cool. I don't know if he's like related to them. People are kind of guessing that he's Tom Hiddleston's character from Kong Skull Island, old. I don't know if that's true or not, because I mean, he looks vaguely like he could be an older version, but they said that they're gonna have like some hints at that happening, just in talking in passing, but it's not really gonna be like a... Kong's existence in this universe isn't gonna have much of an impact on the plot, really, at all. That's what I gathered from the interview. So him being like a main character would be a little odd, but there's no reason it couldn't be, to be honest. But the only other thing he does is he sees King Ghidorah and then he says, "Long live the king," later. Maybe he's talking about King Ghidorah, because people assume he's talking about Godzilla. So we get Burning City, probably San Francisco, probably. And then we get another blue facility. Could also be like underwater, maybe? Or maybe this is in the Atlantis city. They like drained a room of water and found this egg. And that might be where... Because I can't tell if this is ice or just like water, because later there is water dripping all over her. It could just be like ice melting on her, or this could be like a room they somehow like salvaged in the underwater city.
only guarantee.
But there's like steam everywhere. So could be like heating the ice. Like I think there is some like Monarch files somewhere on the internet where they do say where they find Mothra. So I'm probably forgetting. I think if they find her in the middle of the ocean, then that would explain it.
That life will...
So, you know, she's got the nice blue eyes here. So that's a nice callback to Mothra. She looks, you know, brown-ish. Kind of translucent and veiny and blue as well, which is really odd. Hopefully she looks a little more solid. Like, I hope they do the CGI on her a little better in the film when she does come up. So this is like a damaged bit of fencing here, and like you see her, she's kind of reaching out to Mothra, and her mum is like holding her. So I wonder what's happening here.
Life will carry on. That life will carry on.
Looks, it doesn't look like she's trying to pull her back. She's just kind of holding her hand so she doesn't fall, it looks like. Probably in awe of the moment. And, oh, this looks like this could be that same submarine we saw. It could just be a submarine sitting in the water and they're on top of it. So I don't know who these people are, but they're probably the same Monarch people and soldiers that we saw looking at Godzilla while his back was glowing. So they're just watching, and I don't know, these are the people. So it looks like there's a tent there now. So why would there be a tent on a submarine? So this Asian lady here, and looks like some other random people back here. And this is the scene where Godzilla gets up and... Okay, so it's this guy. So he was in the military facility. So he was in the military facility earlier. So he's with the... I'm gonna guess she's Japanese, just because it's a Godzilla movie. So now they're watching... That could be like the thing they have on submarines, so like a bit that sticks out at the top. So they're all wet, obviously. So they're somewhere like either in the rain or the ocean, or Godzilla splashing them. And then he shoots his beam into the sky, and then like this like awestruck music plays, and you can kind of see that thing here. I'm just gonna lean down because I'm short-sighted to really see it. Yeah, I can't tell what that is from this scene, but I'm betting that's like either a boat or a submarine or something. So, no explanation of why he's shooting off his beam. People like have assumed maybe he's like overcharged on power, and that's why his like spines grew and like he's using his beam. But it's nice to see that he's actually using a proper like stronger beam, because in the I was finding it so funny in 2014. Sorry to keep bashing on 2014. They used like it was so like it was really epic when he did the final blow to the Muto in his mouth, but like when he did like when his tail started glowing and it goes down his spines, and then he does the atomic breath, it like was building up as so epic, so epic, so epic, and then like this piss poor sloppy beam flies out of his mouth, and it's like meant to be awesome, but it's like it's kind of awesome, but it's like kind of like could do better. So we see it full on in this trailer that they improved that. It's not too dissimilar to the one in the previous film, but kind of they mixed it with more classic beam, which is cool. Oh, okay, so this looks like trees. So there's a waterfall or smoke or something falling down on her. But there's also trees, and it's all blue, and she's getting out of a cocoon and waking up. And it looks like a military facility or some sort of industrial stuff around here. Interesting. I'm truly trying to figure out what the space here is. Like, maybe there was just, like, a space of air in this temple, underwater or something. Or maybe it's like Infant Island and it came to the surface or something. I don't know if that makes any sense, actually, so just don't quote me on that either. Okay, here it is. So it is like a waterfall, isn't it? This looks like, yeah, so there's trees here. That's probably where Mothra is coming out of. For some reason, she's at the back of a waterfall. Okay, so... So this looks like it's like going up close to the ice, by the looks of it. Someone presses a button. Maybe it's that that woman who was talking about stuff, because it looks like it's implying that she blows up something on the top of a volcano. So that could be a Monarch facility at the top of this volcano monitoring Rodan, perhaps? There's another volcano or just another mountain there. No, just a mountain. So volcano blows up, and then the next scene we see is Rodan sitting covered sort of in lava all over his wings on the top of it. And then he flies off, and there's tornadoes and ash everywhere, so that's kind of self-explanatory, I guess. So here we've got military people in a small confined red space. So they're about to maybe go like on a suicide mission or something, because he's like crossing his heart there.
I am sorry, but this is the only way. Goddamn mine. I am sorry, but this is the only way.
Okay, so there they are implying that she is like doing evil stuff. And again, like when her daughter calls her a monster later. But what's nice is I guess it does look like they're kind of so it does look like they're kind of gonna have like the villain try to be sort of humanized and not like just a crazy supervillain. So they're gonna be trying to give her a reason for whatever she's doing, which is good. Like a villain that believes what they're doing is the right thing, which is usually the best kind of villain. So then we just see her, she's trapped in a building, and since we saw the like what's probably King Ghidorah's face outside the building, she's probably just screaming in terror of that. And obviously there's going to be some sort of family drama with her, because we keep seeing photos of her family. So that's good, I guess. Like in the first film, I wish they would have gone more for a route with Bryan Cranston's characters having like a family drama throughout the whole film, and dealing with the loss of his family and trying to like connecting that to the monsters. But hopefully they can do something more interesting in this film, where they don't kill off the interesting character. Now, that looks like a key scene, whatever it is. So, this might have something to do, like, looks like lava pouring down here, but there's like a pillar, and that like demon from, oh, what was it called? The Exorcist. So that like weird Exorcist statue here, but it actually looks like a little person with butterfly wings. So this, I'm guessing this could have something to do with Mothra, since Mothra is known for being like to do with ancient civilizations and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's like as you can tell, there are these stalactites. I can't tell if that's people or something here, but you got these buildings, and there's something happening here, an explosion. Like, I can't really pinpoint what's the start of it. They could probably cut the trailer on purpose like that, just so nobody freeze frames it, because it's definitely not connected to this scene, because she's nowhere near an underground cabin. But I can't really tell if it's something hitting it from above, crashing down, or if it's something exploding from below. It just kind of appears, so it's probably just something exploding here. So there's an explosion in some underground cabin with a lot of sort of ancient civilization stuff, which is cool. So we're gonna get some more mythology in this, which I'm excited for. It explodes. Then we cut to horrific storm, probably in the aftermath of a volcano, with kaiju arriving and a Rodan flying. So I don't know, is this the White House or something? I'm not too familiar with, like, I know in a couple of cities in America they have like similar domes, but most famously it's like the ones in Washington. Forgive me for not knowing this stuff. Unless that's like in Rome. Okay, so she looks like she's been crying, or about to cry. And
I'm sorry.
so it looks like they are talking to each other, but it's hard to tell because like the color in this scene is very different to, I'm gonna call her L. Nope. Like this scene, her face looks really warm, and like the background doesn't look too blue. It's probably one of the warmer scenes in the film, actually, that aren't like pure like destruction, glowing amber. So she has a warmth on her face, but when you cut to her, this scene is pure shades of blue, very icy. She's wearing that fur coat that they had when they were looking at King Ghidorah, and so I'm guessing this is in the same complex where King Ghidorah was. Here you can't really see what she's wearing, but it doesn't really remind me of the thing in the ice.
And unless all the and unless these creatures have remained in hiding around the world.
Like,
Unless all the titans are
like it could be this jumper that she's wearing. It's a similar color, but we don't see that yellow stripe, and it's not quite up as high because she's wearing the same thing in that shot when she says I'm sorry, but when she says you're a monster, let's see, is it somewhere in here?
You're a monster.
It might be it, but it might not be. It's really hard to tell. But these could be different scenes.
I'm sorry.
But I guess, like, here she's wearing another hoodie that's gray, so it's really hard because everything's like the same bluish gray sort of color. So, military people walking around in a small plastic tunnel. This actually tells us something, because they wouldn't be sneaking around in a small plastic tunnel doing hand signals to stay silent if they were holding guns, if they were hiding from a giant monster. So they're either doing this to try and like find a person or a smaller monster or something. So when they're snooping around like this doing hand signals, so maybe they're after the lady who's like being evil, and they've broken into her facility where she's doing something to control the monsters, potentially. Maybe she's controlling King Ghidorah. She seems to be around where King Ghidorah is, you know, in that icy tunnel, so maybe she found a way to use him, and like, it could be for some reason. That could be a theory, and then like here to stop her, because he's in the military. So, obviously King Ghidorah is going to be like one of the big boss here.
Long live the king.
So, yeah, again, these people were the ones in the King Ghidorah facility. She's looking up like in awe, sort of like, what would we say that face is? Is it like scared, or is it shocked, or is it just in awe?
Long live the king.
Hard to say. So, burning staircase. That's probably that ancient temple that there was that explosion with the lava falling down. Yeah, there's lava just pouring down that place, and it's like an ancient temple. So we get the jets flying over where Elle's character is probably in, I don't know, wherever she was. So let's go back. I saw an interesting shape just a second ago. I just want to make sure I'm not seeing things. I don't know, for a second I thought this could be this shape here, like, is that King Ghidorah's wing and heads? But I don't think so. But there's like explosions going on here, so who knows? But we really don't see enough of whatever that is to see. She's not only looking at it, she's looking at the jets. So if there was a King Ghidorah present, I think she'd probably be looking at that. So he is in this like lava, so he's probably the one walking up the stairs in that like lava-based room. So he's in a pretty dangerous place wherever he is. So he's there's something important in that area that he's probably trying to get to or do, or like or stop somebody or whatever. But the look on his face, he looks very determined. So it's interesting. It's another big explosion. This one doesn't look like it's quite underground. She's happy about something. Maybe it's that Godzilla arrived. Yeah, what? Let's see what's that scene. There's something in the left corner that looks interesting. So this. Not really sure what that is. It could be a ship or like a building. So this looks like it's... Maybe it's the ocean and steam, and that could be like a boat or a building. Oh, you know what that is? I bet that could be like Mothra glowing, or because it's like the music's like you can see whatever this is. It's like these shapes like moving in. So this could either be like King Ghidorah appearing or Mothra glowing or something. But again, every scene in this is like very obscured, so you got to look through the dust and try and guess what it is. Yeah, something there is like flapping or closing its wings in that like bright scene, and I've heard that Mothra kind of glows and is luminescent, so that and like angelic, so that's probably Mothra. But you know, when like in the Showa era, King Ghidorah did like have like appear in a ball of flame, so it could be King Ghidorah. But yeah, it kind of looks like she's seeing Godzilla and the armies and the planes appear, because she's in the same area where those planes were at the end here. And all these like backgrounds, they have that same like blue, smoky, watery sort of background. Which is fitting, because that's what 90% of the movie seems to look like. There's a lot to look in, a lot of stuff that we can sort of decode from this. So, like, there's gonna be a lot of mythology in this. We're definitely gonna get our monsters, obviously. That's not even a question. Whether or not like that lady, like what her plan is, it seems to relate to obviously what everyone thinks, that she's just gonna control release the monsters or control them or do something bad, but she's gonna think it's for the right good of mankind. But hopefully a character is gonna be a lot deeper, because that sort of stuff has been done before. But she may be controlling King Ghidorah, is kind of my little theory here. And I am hoping that, like, I think like that Atlantis City definitely has something to do with like Godzilla, but it could also have stuff to do with King Ghidorah, and there might be like something there, some sort of like ancient power or something that could like help the people like resolve the plot or something. Probably dragged out this video long enough, so thank you guys for sticking with this video, and like just overall I'm really excited for this movie, even if it does have the exact plot that I'm getting at from looking at this trailer, which I hope they surprise me, because I like it when I'm surprised by a movie. Even if it does, I'd still be really happy if it's executed well, and if the character dynamic is really good, and if the monsters are done right. So I know I've done a lot of complaining, and I have a lot of ifs, and I've sounded a little bit more negative about this film, but it's really just because the whole purpose of this video was to talk about that, to get all my nitpicks out and my concerns, and to basically analyze everything that I could from this trailer. And I could probably go on for a bit, but again, this video's gone very long, so without further ado, don't forget to actually just don't forget to write in the comments below anything like any just what do you think of this video, and like all the sort of stuff that I've looked into, and your opinions, and like, are you excited for the film, and what are you excited for, and what are you worried about? I'm more interested in hearing that, I guess, than like your like the theories and the analysis stuff, because I don't want to be overly spoiled as to what's happening, to be honest, but I'm really curious about like fan expectations and all that sort of stuff, so do be sure to leave that below. And without further ado, may all your vinyl be irradiated vinyl. Thanks for sticking with this very long video. Over and out!